Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks to a FOIA lawsuit from the Southern Eastern Legal Foundation, the National Archives disclosed this week that it has located 82,000 pages of potentially government-related emails from one Joe Biden, a.k.a. Robin Ware, a.k.a. Bobby Peters.
I like Bobby Peters the best.
I think it's good Robert, but I mean,
Well,
we're friendly. Bobby.
Well,
Bobby's fine.
That makes Hillary Clinton look pretty good, huh?
Yeah, and this is at least, well, this has to be attendant to his time in office. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a matter for the National Archives. So his time as vice president may be dating back to his time in the Senate, as we see some of Biden Inc. operations dating back to Mr. 10%'s time in the Senate. You know, the thing that upsets me most about this?
What?
Robin Ware, Bobby Peters. Where's the spicy pseudonym? Your Carlos Danger, your Pierre Delecto. You know, where's the creativity?
Pierre Delecto was Mitt Romney, right?
Correct,
That
yeah.
fun guy. When I
mean,
look at him, I think that's a good time right there.
Well, even a milquetoast guy like Mitt Romney came up with Pierre Delecto.
Right.
That's fun.
It's provocative.
The most important part of all this is that everybody has fun. This is entertainment. It's not like this is, important to the future of our republic or something like this. You know, all the hand-wringing from Republicans about corruption and a compromised administration because of family intake and the millions from America's enemies and their representatives. You know, that's not fun. Pseudonyms are fun, or they can be, but not if you use Robin Ware or Robert Peters. Come on.
Never trust a guy with two first names.
Sure. Yeah. For first rule of dating.
Yeah.
All right. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by award-winning investigative journalist, founder of Just the News, justthenews.com. It's been on this story, of course. John Solomon, if that is your real name. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It is. I have no pseudonym email accounts, I promise you.
All right. Well, so Hillary Clinton had 33,000 pages that, were accidentally wiped off a server. And Joe was using pseudonyms, so prying eyes didn't see the private conversations in which he expressed his fondness for Hunter and other people. Hunter Biden, the smartest guy he knows, and other people. I mean, should we be reading nefarious motives into this disclosure from the National Archives? We don't have the records yet because it's going to take them a while to compile those 82,000 pages, they say, probably, at least through November of next year, I'm sure. Nefarious motives?
Well, listen, let's start with the most obvious thing. No matter how this turns out, no matter what's contained in the emails, one thing we're certain of is that during the Obama years, there was a complete rules for thee and the me, which is for all federal employees, you're not supposed to use private email except in rare circumstances. In the case of Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, they used it tens of thousands of times. It is a complete rejection of the Federal Records Act and all of the guidance that every federal employee, including Joe Biden, including Hillary Clinton, got about how to properly conduct government business on official email. On a secondary level, because the reason those rules exist is that private email is so much easier to hack. Just ask John Podesta, who had his emails hacked during the middle of the 2016 election.
Right.
So they are now transmitting sometimes sensitive information, in the case of Hillary Clinton, classified information in an insecure manner, putting the nation's secrets or the nation's sensitive information at risk. And so there's an arrogance and a rules for me in the phenomenon that no matter what turns out to be in these documents, and we'll get these documents. I've been working with the Southeastern Legal Foundation since 2021 to get these documents. We're now have them identified, and we think the production could begin starting in January or February under our current schedule. But it's a pretty extraordinary stash of documents. And what we do know is some of the information that Joe Biden did transmit to his son from these private email accounts was extremely sensitive. I'll just give you one example because I think it gets lost in all this conversation. Back in 2014, the State Department embassy in Turkey, Turkey found out that an American was about to be released from captivity. This has been a long-held American. It was a very sensitive situation. It could go either way, but the winds were blowing that he might be released. That embassy cable comes to the vice president's office. It's sent to Joe Biden's private account. Joe Biden then sends it to his son, who we know was a drug addict and had a lot of problems, had trouble keeping his laptop even. And he sends that information there before the gentleman is released, putting that potential release in jeopardy. Those are the sort of things that we know now that Joe Biden was transmitting to his son. Another time he transmits plans to have a conversation with the Ukrainian president before it happens. Again, a sensitive matter that a spy country would love to learn about. An enemy of ours spying on us would love to learn about. He transmits that to his son. And, oh, by the way, his son had a lot of interest in Ukraine because he had the Ukrainian business deal with Burisma Holdings. So Joe Biden not only thumbed his nose at the law here, in some cases that are already public, he sent very sensitive information in an insecure channel.
Well, do you think we'll find anything about 10% are paying the big guy in these emails?
I don't. Based on what I've learned about the ethos of how the family business ran, almost everything like that was done verbally, right? It was very rare to see, downstream from them, maybe with the business partners, they were more willing to put that in paper. But when it came to Joe and Hunter and James, there was a code of really anything sensitive being talked privately or done privately, much like these loan payments. A new loan payment is going to come out today. We're going to learn about that later today. So I think the code was don't say very much about Joe Biden in email, and you even see Hunter Biden in a few cases say that. Let's be careful what we say about the big guy or dad. And so I think the code was kind of mafia style. We don't talk about that in email.
Exactly. It's the Tony Soprano code. Remember when he had to have that talk with Michael when Michael wanted to go to Hollywood and make films? He said, "What are you going to do? Fax me? This is a face-to-face business." And so it is with the Bidens, except you're also not supposed to lose your laptop with incriminating information on it. But, that's a rounding error thanks to the power structure being what it is in D.C. So on the production schedule, I'm just interested. I mean, I just have the feeling that there's going to be an effort to put this on the production schedule that, say, Pfizer is on for releasing all the information related to the development of the COVID vaccine, which is was on a 60 or 80-year production timeline. You said you expect to start getting the documents in January and February. Do you expect to get the full complement of documents well in advance of next November?
Well, what we're doing with the court in consultation with the Southeastern Legal Foundation, which brought this lawsuit in concert with us, is we're going to, they want to do what's called rolling productions, which is every month drop a certain thousand numbers of pages of documents. What we're asking to do, and I think the court is amenable to, is to come up with the topic areas that we think are most important. Anything that mentions Ukraine, Burisma, Russia, Romania, any of the countries where Hunter Biden was doing, any of the business partners' names or the associates overseas whose names are there. So what we could do is use our acquired knowledge from the last 3 years of covering this scandal to tell the National Archives and the courts which documents they should release first. Usually the government is amenable to that. That's sort of how Judicial Watch did some of the Hillary Clinton emails. And it gives us a chance to get at things that we know are relevant to the current conversations before the election. Now, that always can be abused. I'm not naive about that. And I also think, and you look at late last night, Congressman James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, said, hey, I'm going to get these from a different direction. He's going to use the power of the gavel, he said, to get these documents. So the FOIA lawsuit in Congress together, we've got a fighting chance of getting a good amount of these documents out before voters choose their next president next November.
Fair enough. The loans, you just mentioned the loans.
Yeah.
The loans seem to be one of the features of the Biden Incorporated operation. Joe loans money to Jim and Jim, pays him back, we're told. A Chinese businessman loans $250,000 to Hunter, and then his Hollywood lawyer, Kevin Morris, assumes the loan debt. Anything troubling about loans between friends and family members?
Well, listen, I think James Comer hit this on the head a couple of weeks ago in the interview I did with him on my TV show, and he said a loan in the Biden lexicon really means gift or income. And why does he say that? Well, first off, you mentioned the story that we broke earlier this week where Hunter Biden gets a $250,000 loan from a Chinese businessman, and someone else assumes the debt for him, his Hollywood lawyer friend. But it's actually much more consequential when it comes to federal law. Why do I say that? Because in the construction of the documents that the IRS agents, who are now the whistleblowers, uncovered, they found several instances where Hunter Biden was being paid pure income. It was just compensation from Burisma or another foreign client. And then he doctored his records to call this money a loan, and he evaded taxes on that. And so many times, according to the IRS whistleblowers, the loan construct was used to cheat the American taxpayer out of tax revenue that Hunter Biden owed. And at the end of the day, the Biden Justice Department, on one of the largest tranches of a fake loan that was actually income, actually decided to give Hunter Biden a pass. They have not charged him for tax evasion on $400,000 of income that Hunter Biden and his own lawyers and his own friends wrote in an email in 2017, hey, you cheated, you haven't paid these taxes. So Hunter Biden, there was contemporaneous proof Hunter Biden knew he was cheating on his taxes. The Biden Justice Department gave him a pass.
Well, what about the specific check from Jim Biden to his brother, Joe Biden, president now, for $200,000, which was written on March 1st, 2018?
So that is a very important document. The Democrats say, well, we can show that an entity that had something to do with Joe Biden sent money to James Biden, and then James Biden sends it back to Joe Biden. Now, that's consistent with some of the information that I've gathered, but there's one problem. If it was in a different corporate entity, and then it came back to Joe Biden, and Joe Biden put it in his personal account, which is what these records apparently show, from looking at them, he might have a tax consequence. So that is one of the big questions that Congress is going to ask for. The second part is, all right, James Biden borrowed money from Joe Biden. How did he pay it back? And the answer is he took money from a failing company, a rural healthcare company, under the auspices that he could trade the Biden family name for foreign business. So another example of foreign influence spending becoming the source of the income that's used to pay back Joe Biden. I don't think many Americans are going to feel very good about that they were taking money from a failing company. And no, the promise was we'll use the Biden name to open up foreign business, something that Joe Biden claimed never went on back when he was running for election.
You know what? I think the play for the Bidens is to pin this all on Robin Ware. It's not the big guy you want. It's Robin Ware.
Yeah.
That's the guy behind all this.
Let's put a bolo out for him. Yeah.
John Solomon is an award-winning investigative journalist. You just understood why with all the work that he's doing. Just the News is an indispensable outlet that he founded, justthenews.com. John, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Great pleasure to be with you guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to